Yes, hello students. The topic which we are going to start today is not only important from the prelims point of view that we are going to appear in the 10th of this month, but it's important from the mains point of view also, because here we will discuss the topic to clear your concepts. By these days, definitely you might have crammed so many facts, but to understand the concept is another thing. And if the facts and concepts both are clear to you, then it will be highly beneficial for you people, because during these days, the last days of the prelims exams, the students just start cramming the facts without understanding the concept. So this class is very much important, because in this class we will completely try to clear your concepts from the Vedic age till the rise of the Jainism and Buddhism. So it's a long span of around 900 years. So in 900 years, what happened in the society, what happened in the polity, what happened in the economy, and what happened in the religion, we will discuss. And not only we will discuss in separate way, but how the society, polity, economy, religion affect in another ways also. Each how they affect the polity, affect how the polity affect the economy, or the how the economy affect the religion. So that is the interdisciplinary approach. And the topic is the Vedic age in the perspective of interdisciplinary approach. So this interdisciplinary approach, just take the example of the human body. As we know that different systems are working in our human body. That is from the nerve system, digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system, muscular system, skeletal system, endocrine system, exocrine system. So these different systems are there. And these systems work independently also and work in coordination with the other system also, and that's how the entire body work. Similarly, if the society is also a body, and that society made of different systems, the social system is there, political system, economical system, and religious system. Just like in the human body different systems, in the society also different systems are there. So this system, the society in the social field, political field, economical field, religious field, they all run simultaneously. What is happening in society, somewhere it affects the polity also, and that result could be seen in the religious fields also. So that is the interdisciplinary approach, and vice versa also. What happened in religion, that affect polity somewhere, and that affect in the society also. So we have to discuss all these concepts from the time period of the Vedic age to the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. That's across a time period of 900 years. So let us start the topic. So Vedic age, that is the age of the Veds. Ved, the word comes from the word Vid, that is knowledge, to know. And it is also known as the Aryan age. Arya, that is the word of the Sanskrit language, which means man of noble family, Sabhrant Parivar ke log, nobles, Aryans. So this Vedic age divided into two parts, early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. Early Vedic age is also known as the Rig Vedic age, because Rig Ved, the oldest Ved, was written during this particular time, and it took 500 years in its completion from 1500 BC to 1000 BC. So that's why early Vedic age is also known as the Rig Vedic age. And rest of the Veds, Sam Ved, Yajur other Ved, were written in the later Vedic age from 1000 to 600 onward time. So who were these Aryans? Just like the controversy of the Indus Valley people and Indus Valley origin, which we have discussed in the earlier videos, the Aryans origin is also a matter of debate. And different scholars believe that, just like some of our Indian authors, just like A.C. Das says that they didn't come outside the country, but they were the original inhabitant of the country and used to live in the northwestern area, that is the area of the Sapt Sindhu, area of 7 rivers. Bal Gangadhar Tilak says that they came from the Arctic region. Dayanand Saraswati says that they came from the Tibet region. But majority of the view accepts today that Aryans came from Central Asia, and that was the view given by the German scholar Max Müller. So it is acceptable too. Also, it is not the topic here to discuss on that particular topic, whether the Aryans came to this country from outside, or whether they were the original inhabitant of this, or whether the Aryans coming to India, it's a myth or reality. That we will discuss in a separate video, long video, that will be, which I will give you people after your prelims from 10th onwards till the January, in the coming 27th January. I will post on regular basis my videos for the mains exams. So that topic we will discuss there. But here the topic is Vedic age and interdisciplinary study. So our intro of Aryan is that Aryan, that is the name of a noble family people, and they came from Central Asia. They came from Central Asia because of two reasons. One was the scarcity of the pasture land. हरे चरागाहों की कमी हो गई थी वहाँ पर सेंट्रल एशिया में, and that's why they were forced to come to the pasture area of the northwest frontier provinces of our country India, because they had their important possession was the cows. वो cow गाय पालते थे, and they were the semi-nomadic people who would wander from one place to another with their possession. The cow was their highly important possession, and with that possession they used to move from one place to another in search of the pasture land. And in that practice they came to our country India also. If we accept the theory, they came from outside the country. Okay. So after they came here, so we have divided this topic into several subtopics. So early Vedic and later Vedic, I told you, from 1500 to 1000 is the early and 1000 to 600 is the later Vedic. So these Vedic and later Vedic we have divided into the different fields of the social. First is the social life of the early Vedic age, then social life of in the later Vedic age. Similarly, polity in the early Vedic age, then polity in the later Vedic age, economy in the later early Vedic age and economy in the later Vedic age, religion in the early Vedic age and religion in the later Vedic age, and how the society of the early was differ from later, and how that society somewhere affect the polity, and how that affect to the economy and the religion also. That's all we have to discuss in the interdisciplinary approach of the Vedic age. So when the Aryans came to India, all the Aryans didn't come at once, but they came in small number of slots, and that slots could be of several hundred to several thousands. So they came in different times and settled in the northwestern part of the country basically. So when we discuss their society, they had the joint family system. Joint family system, that family could be of the 20, 30, 40, just like that member. Joint family system was that, and the eldest member was the eldest male member was the head of the family, and position of women was very much good during the early Vedic age, because some scholarly women like the Ghosala, Apala, Vishweshwara, Lokmudra were the important scholarly women who used to take part in the religious discourse of that particular time, and that's why we can say that the position of the women was very much good there, and Swayamvar concept was also there. So women were educated also, and they were not getting married at a very early age. So the position of the women was good up to an extent. We can say that a good position the women had there. Besides this, one important concept of the Indian society institution, that caste system was not there. That is very much important. In the early Vedic age, there is no sign of the caste system. In particular family, in any particular family, we could have the instances of physicians also in one particular family. Teachers could also be there, farmers could also be there, a little bit of traders could also be there. So the people were completely free to go to any job, occupation, profession according to their will and according to their talent or caliber or capacity. So that's why the concept of caste system was definitely not there, which ultimately emerged in the later Vedic age, which gave rise to the different classes like the Brahmins, who were supposed to teach and preach only, Kshatriyas who had to go to the wars only, Vaishya involved in the trade and commerce and agriculture, and Shudras were supposed to do work for the rest of the three. So that caste division was there in the later Vedic age, but not in the early Vedic age. So that was the early Vedic age society. Joint family system was there. Eldest member was the head of the society. Position of women was very much good, and there was no caste system. Then what happened in the later Vedic age? In the later Vedic age, joint family system continued as it was in the early Vedic age. But in new system, the caste system emerged. So I told you that early Vedic age is also known as the Rig Vedic age, because Rig Veda, the oldest Veda, was written in that particular age, and after that, from 1000 onwards, other Vedas were also written. So Rig Veda was written, and it took 500 years around. So, and it is divided into 10 mandals or 10 books. So in the 10th mandal or the last mandal, there is a theory around 1000 years it is of time. That is known as the Puruk Sukta theory. And in the Puruk Sukta theory, it is given that Brahmins emerged from the mouth of Lord Brahma, Kshatriyas from the hand, Vaishya from the stomach, and Shudras from the feet of the Lord Brahma. And that's how the society was getting present form of the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and divided into different number of castes. From Brahmans, as I told you, they were supposed to do the work of teaching and preaching. Kshatriyas had to defend their territory in the later stages that become the country also. And Vaishya involved in the agriculture and trade and commerce, and and Shudras, they had to serve the rest of the three. So that was the important changes in the form of caste system emerged in the later Vedic age. Besides this, one important event took place in India in 1000 BC also, that bring change in the other fields also, in the economical field also and in the political field also, and later in the religious field also. And that was the discovery of iron. It was discovered first at the Taranji Khera in the Eta district of UP. Besides that, it was also found at Gandhar, Baluchistan, Eastern Punjab and Western UP. So this discovery of iron completely changed the scenario of Indian society. Because of this iron, the Aryans were able to make axes and started clearing the forests and jungles, and they migrated towards the East India and the Southern India also. Why? Because in the initial stages, when iron was not discovered, they were forced to live in the northwestern frontier provinces there only, and from there they came in 1500 BC. So by 1000 BC, in 500 years, their population was also increased, and fortunately, luckily for them, iron was also discovered by 1000. So they were able to clear the forests, and they migrated in the eastern part and in the southern part also. And because that was the need of that, because that was the need of that time also, because they needed new places, because the population was also rose up to that particular time. So iron, say they started making war weapons also, war weapons and agricultural tools. So because of the agricultural tools, they become very much proficient in the agricultural operations, and war weapons were also there. So that was the society. Then, and we have discussed the utility of the iron also. Then we start the early Vedic polity, whose time period is from 1500 BC to 1000 BC. So hereditary monarchy continued here also, just like in the early Vedic age, hereditary monarchy continued. That is means that the eldest member of the family here, and hereditary monarchy means king was replaced by his son. So hereditary monarchy where the people of same family ruled, and king after his death is succeeded by his son or the nearest male member. So hereditary monarchy was there in the political field, and king was held by three officials: Senani, who used to help him in the warfare, and war were fought. Wars were only fought for the possession of the cows. The concept of territory, war for territory, emerged only in the later Vedic age when the concept of Rashtra was there. Initially, the wars was only for the cows. So the Senani, Purohit, the Purohit, that is those person who used to perform prayers, religious sacrifices, ceremonies in the name of the king, so that the king could get victory in the wars. That was the Purohit. Its place was very much important. And one was the Gramini, that was the village head. So with the help of these three officials, the king used to run their administration. So, and besides this, family was the smallest unit of society that particular time also, and today also in our society we are having the family is the basic unit of the society. Just like the human body, in human body different cells, countless cells are there. The cells when the cells combine they form a tissue, and when the tissues combine they form an organ, and when the organs combine they form the entire body. Similarly, human beings form the family, and family was the smallest unit of society. Number of families make 1 gram. The family was headed by Kulpati, and number of families make 1 gram headed by Grampati. Number of gram make 1 Vish headed by Vishpati, and number of Vish make 1 tribe or Jan headed by Janpati. Jan, Jan, Pati, Janpati, that is the head of the Jan. And at this particular stage, there were Jans only. As I told you, when Aryans came, they came in different number of groups, and every tribal group they had their own Jan or king. And this Jan is also we are using in our present day administration. What Jan? Janpad, that is the district. So Janpad Ghaziabad, Janpad Aligarh, Janpad Meerut, Janpad Mathura. So this Janpad we are using here, that Janpad was also in those particular time. So Janpad means corresponding the area of a particular district only. So that was the area that was ruled by the kings during that particular time, and there were many Janpads. And these Janpads used to war for the cows. And the battle of Ten King is very much important and famous here. That we will also discuss. So king was held by Senani, Purohit and Gramini. Besides this, in the political field, king was controlled also. Somewhere there was control on the king also. Otherwise, he could become an autocrat also. So the king, he was controlled by Sabha and Samiti. Sabha was the council of the elderly people and Samiti was the council of the common people. So these two councils used to control the king up to an extent, and that was the society and that was the polity of the early Vedic age. Hereditary joint family system was there. Head was the eldest male member. No caste system and position of will was very much good. Here, hereditary monarchy was there. King was held by 3 officials and control of Sabha and Samiti was there on the king. Besides this, and that was the early Vedic age. What happened in the later Vedic age from 1000 to 600 BC polity? Hereditary monarchy continued just like in the early Vedic polity. Discovery of iron was very much important, we have discussed here. Then, because of this discovery of iron, what happened? So, this discovery of iron, war weapons took place and agricultural tools. And these agricultural tools and war weapons, what happened? We have to discuss two concepts here simultaneously. One was the evolution of caste system was there, and one was the discovery of iron. So, because of this concept of caste system, people were supposed to do whatever in which particular birth they have, in which particular class they have taken their birth, they were supposed to do that work only, which was not present in the early Vedic age. But in the later Vedic age, they were supposed to do in which they were supposed to do in which class they have taken their birth. So they were supposed to do the work or the job, occupation, profession according to their class. So Brahmins were supposed to do teaching, preaching, and Kshatriyas war and Vaishya trade and commerce and agriculture, and Shudras were supposed to serve the rest of the three. So that's how the society was divided. So what was the positive effect of this? The positive effect of this, when the work was divided, so the Vaishya got the work of farming, agriculture, and trade and commerce. So with the passage of time, students try to understand one thing. Brahman's job was only teaching and preaching. Vaishya job was farming only, and they were able to grow the crops, agriculture production for the entire village or in the entire jan. Just take the example of a village. If in a village there are certain number of farmers, and those farmers were growing crops only for the entire village. It means rest of the people will take crops or agriculture production from that community. So what the rest of the people will do? Because definitely they are not supposed to do agriculture now, because agriculture and trade and commerce were supposed to do by the Vaishya only. So what the rest of the people will do? So rest of the people started working in their own professions. Brahmins go for the teaching, preaching, Kshatriyas go for to defend the country or their area, and Vaishya job was only confined to the agriculture. So when this particular class was going agriculture production for the entire village, after a time after crossing the limit, a time will come when surplus production will be there. Surplus production will be there. Surplus production means what? Surplus production means that when the production of the agriculture will be more as compared to the requirement of the village, and that will happen in each and every occupation and profession. How? Let us see here. Take it. So other occupations also grew, just like the weaving also started by the weavers. Pottery was also started. Metal work was also started. Carpentry work was also started. So these different peoples in their particular profession started giving product of their particular profession, and that product was sufficient to fulfill the requirement of the entire village. But after a particular time, their products become much more, and they required more markets, more new people as customers and consumers. So because the dimensions or the boundary of the village was small, so they started leaving the boundary of the village and going outside also with their products of different fields. And that's how the new markets emerged. With the passage of time, new towns emerged, like the Kashi, Kosala, Magad. These later emerged and become the very important trading centers also. So that's how the surplus production in every field goes to the rise of the markets and the trading centers also with the passage of time. That thing here. Then we have to discuss the early Vedic economy was what? Early Vedic economy was the rural economy. There was barter system was there in the early Vedic age, and their exchange unit was cow, currency was not there, coins were not there, and cities were not there in the early Vedic age. But in the later Vedic age, because of the division of labor and because of the surplus production, there was the rise of what? Because the surplus production and division of labor, there was the growth of trading centers and cities like Kashi, Videha, Kaushambi, Hastinapur, etc. and cities emerged here also. So till now we have discussed a little bit about the early Vedic age, their society, later Vedic society, their polity in the later and early Vedic age, then economy in the early and the later Vedic age. So now after that there is one more important concept, and that concept is the religious concept. So religion of the early Vedic age was what? The religion of the early Vedic age was very much simple religion was that. How it was simple? Because the head of the family with the rest of the family used to perform the religious ceremonies by chanting the mantras, like the Gayatri Mantra was very much famous there. And there was no need to call anybody from outside to get perform their religious sacrifices, ceremonies and ritual practices. And in fact, outside world there was no Brahmins that particular time. That was the early Vedic age without any caste system. So in the early Vedic age, the caste system was not there. So the head of the family with the rest of the member of the family used to perform their religious ceremonies within the household, within the four walls of their houses. But in the later Vedic age, what happened? All the complications, the game of the Brahman, the real game of the Brahman of exploitation actually started in the later Vedic age. And it is related to religion also. How? As I told you, in the early Vedic age, Rig Veda was written, and rest of the Veds written in the later Vedic age, that is the Samveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. So what is written in these Veds, the crux, the synopsis, the ultimate crux of these Veds is written in the essence is written in the Brahman's literature. Brahmanic literature was there. Then the crux or the essence of the Brahmans was written in the Aryans, that is known as the forest books of the jungle, which were written in the jungles. And the crux or essence of the Aryans was written in the Upanishad. Just take the example of the Mundak Upanishad. There is a very common phrase that Satyamev Jayate. So this Satyamev Jayate have crossed a long journey from the Veds, Brahmans, Aryans and Upanishad. And that's जब हमें एक छोटा फॉर्मूला मिला सत्यमेव जयते, जस्ट लाइक आइंस्टाइन E इक्वल टू mc स्क्वायर आइंस्टाइन ने दिया, तो टू रीच दिस E इक्वल टू mc स्क्वायर और टू रीच दिस सत्यमेव जयते, दे हैव क्रॉस्ड ए लॉन्ग जर्नी. So what is the meaning of this? What the knowledge of the Upanishad is giving to mankind? The Upanishad says that the ultimate aim of the human body is not to become millionaire, billionaire or trillionaire. Rather, the ultimate of the human body, the Almighty has given to us is that to reunite the human soul with the eternal soul. That is the aim of the Upanishads. That is the lesson, or that is the teaching of the Upanishads or the Veds or the Brahmans or the Aryans is that. That is to reunite the human soul with the eternal soul. So when this was disclosed to the rest of the people by the Brahman class, and Brahmans were the very respectable class. So whatever they used to say, that was followed by the common people, and today also we are following that. Up to an extent we are using our mind also, but during that particular time, whatever the Brahman used to say, that was what? That means that had to be followed in each and every way. Why? Because the king, the polity, the government was also supporting this Brahman somewhere, because it was the Brahman who used to pray for the victory of the kings in the war. So that's why in between the king and the Brahmans, they were closely associated to each other, and that's why the common people just followed them with blind eyes. So in the initial stages, the problems were not there, but the problems started in the later Vedic age, because all the time the mind of the people was covered with the topic of the moksha. Anyhow, we have to get the moksha. That was in their mind. Just like at present, those who are preparing for the civil services prelims exam that is going to be held on the 10th of October, their mind is filled with how to crack the pre. So that was the concept here also in the mind of the people, how to attain this salvation, that is Nirvana in Buddhism and Cavalry and Jainism, how to get it, how to attain it. And Brahmins took advantages of that, and they started making the ritual sacrifices in such a complicated way that ultimately exploited the people up to an extent that the people fed up of their religion. Just take the example. In the early age, in the early religion, early Vedic age religion, I told you people, it was the head of the family who used to perform religious sacrifices ceremony within the four walls in a very simplest way. But in the later Vedic age, because of the monopoly of the Brahmins, they started exploiting the people, and the weight of the pockets of the Brahman was increasing day by day on one side, and on the other side it was decreasing for the rest of the people on day by day on the other side. So Brahmans started exploiting them, and there was a number of sanskar that had to perform by the people, and they started even before the birth. When the fetus itself is in the womb, the sanskars were started. And those sanskar continued till grave. So cradle to grave, we can say, before cradle rather, there was the sanskar which the people had to perform according to the guidelines of the Brahmins. And Brahmins make it very much complicated. Initially, in the religion of the early Vedic age, there was no idol worship. Rather, they used to worship nature in very simplest form. They used to worship wind, they used to worship water, earth, sun, moon, sky. So that was the most simplest way, because how to worship wind? Wind is everywhere. There is no need of a statue or a murti or an idol. But in the later stages, the Brahmins made it very much complicated, and they started forcing the people to worship different type of gods. And different type of Brahmins also emerged, like Adarvayu was there. So Brahmins were also categorized themselves into different categories, and they made the religions very much complicated. Otherwise, is a religious practice that could be performed in few hours, it started taking few days, and after the few days it started taking several weeks to several months to years also. So that's how the common people was completely fed up. Besides this, the economic class of the people was also fed up, particularly the class of the merchants, the traders, who are now very much wealthy class because of the discovery of iron. Their surplus agriculture was there, and that surplus agriculture resulted in the rise of cities and towns. And this class, the trading class, become very much important now, and they started giving taxation to the people also. That's why they come to the close to the polity or close to the government also, close to the king also. In the initial stages, there was a nexus up to an extent which says that there was a close association of the king and the Brahmins, which was not acceptable to the Vaishya or the traders in the later stage, because they were seeing that now their economic status is very much high in the society, but they are at the lower strata in the society, at the lower ladder as compared to the king and the Brahmins, and that's why they wanted to increase their social status also. So they started giving donations, charity, and by the time of the Jainism and Buddhism, they started giving donations for the monasteries also, and become very much close to the kings of the time of the Buddhist period. So that was not acceptable to the Brahmins. So now they started feeling neglected and avoided. So what they started now in the Dharma Sutra, in the Sutra literature, in the Smriti literature, they started cursing some practices of the Vaishya class, of giving money on credit to the people. So they say that this usury, this mortgage, this giving money on credit basis in order to take the interest from the people is very much bad, and it is not recommended by the Dharma Sutra and the Shastra. So they try to clipping the wings of each other. The Brahmas try to clip the wings of the Vaishya and vice versa also. So that's how the society was there in this particular period. That was the period of the early Vedic to later Vedic. Here we have discussed the different issues of the society. So what was the society in the early Vedic age? How it was in the later Vedic age, how was the polity in the early Vedic age, how it was in the later Vedic age, economy in the early, later, and religion in the, and how they related. That was the interdisciplinary study. What happened in the social field, the caste system emerged in the social field, and there was the discovery of iron also. So this caste system ultimately affected the economy of the country also, because some people were free to go for agriculture only, and rest of the people were completely free to do job according to their capabilities, and that's how the different type of jobs, occupation, and professions started in the society. And with the passage of time, many cities and trading centers also emerged. So somewhere the exploitative nature of the Brahmins in the later Vedic age affected the society, and that affected affected the society up to an extent. The religious exploitation, that is, rather it should be called commercialization of religion. I will teach you people about the commercialization of agriculture that was in the modern India. That was exploitation by the British, but it was the exploitation by our own people in the name of religion too. In the name of religion, they started exploiting the people, and they exploited the people up to that extent that it was unbearable for the people, and they started looking to some new religion. So what happened in society that reflected in economy, and the results reflected again in the field of religion, and that is the interdisciplinary study. So people become fed up because of these exploited policies of the Brahmins class, and they started looking towards some new religion. And that's why there was the rise of Jainism and Buddhism by the 6th century. It is written in Bhagavad Gita also. What Lord Krishna says that जब जब problems आएंगे, I will be there to solve the problem. So it is quite possible Lord Krishna in the form of Lord Buddha or Lord Mahavira. So that's quite possible. So what I want to tell you people is that what happened in society reflect in polity, economy also, and its results we see in the religion also. So that was the topic also, how it is an interdisciplinary study. So besides this was the conceptual point, and you have to go by the facts also. And by this time you might have crammed so many facts also, and this conceptual framework and this is I think is useful to you people. And from 10th onwards, I will upload my videos for the mains exams also, because your mains are going to start by the January of 2022. And so keep touch with me for those topics. Okay students, so all the best to all of you.